up, RotoGrinders? We have 2 hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation starting right now on a Wednesday. You know what? Not even Kyle knows this. I figure we're having a little bit of fun today. We're doing a Fleet Wednesday. We had so much fun yesterday with the athletes. We're doing a Fleet Wednesday, so we'll go ahead and give away week 3 of RG Premium. Well, usual rules apply. Get in that Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. Tell me what athlete I am talking about on a Wednesday night. A lot of baseball going on. Some afternoon baseball's already finished. Some 4 o'clock games or so on the East Coast. We're talking about the main DK and FanDuel slate. It's an 8-gamer. The Dodgers are still in Coors Field. They have a 7-team total. It is a massive number. There's some really, really good pitching out there. Not really a lot of gas cans. You know, we do a little bit more with salary cap, so it's pretty tricky to get Dodgers and great pitchers. So you are kind of put to a decision point. Helping me out, it's Kyle Murray. You guys know Kyle. Kyle, I think you've been brag about yourself a little bit. You've been red hot in the old scores and odds. You've hit a couple ladders of late. I know I've tailed at least one of them. And I think you had an outright in golf, if I'm not mistaken, as well, which I did not tail because my book was giving me a bad number. And I'm like, no, I can't. I can't in good conscience knock off 15 points. But who was the guy last weekend for golf? What was the number? That's always a big boost to the ROI. We take one of those down.
Yeah, golf is funny because you kind of just go through weeks where it's okay, nothing, and then hopefully you can get a few outrights a year. I've been lucky enough to have I think a handful of them since the start of last year, so it's been nice. But yeah, last week pulled through with Keegan Bradley, had him 40-1, so that was nice. And then I also we had the Chase Burns ladder yesterday, which was that was one of the easier ladders we've had. But it feels like we had the Will Warren one last week, Pepio one last week, and a Logan Webb. So 4 ladders and an outright over the last week. So yeah, it's been good. Hopefully we can keep it rolling. I got a couple more plays in there. Had a couple bad breaks early with the Paul. We took the under 3.5 first 5 runs in the Brewers Pirates game. Skeens versus the Miz, and 4 runs from Paul Skeens, I think, in the second inning. No other runs in the first 5, but because O'Neal Cruz, man, he's not looking too good in the outfield. He had a little pop-up that he let drop in front of him that led to a couple runs. But, yeah, hopefully we keep it rolling.
That's interesting. I didn't watch the game, but I know he was pulled yesterday for that very reason, for a lack of hustle. And there was that other play. I don't know if it was a different play or the same play. There's another play in the outfield where he let a ball get past him, and he's just kind of standing there watching it, I know he's transitioning to the outfield, and that's not his natural position. I don't know if he volunteered or what. I mean, spoiler, he's not long for the Pirates. Once he starts costing money, he's going to be gone. That's just how that goes there. And they dropped him all the way to the 5-hole today as well. Adam Frazier, they had to get Adam Frazier in the leadoff spot. It looks like, man, Pittsburgh, just a disaster. And yeah, the Miz, did you watch the start by chance? Because I watched Miz's first 2 starts. I didn't catch this one, but he looks pretty electric. Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw most of it. I took his over on strikeouts, which was nice, 5.5. I think he had 8. So yeah, he looked really good. He's looked dominant in terms of generating swings and misses. And I mean, he went head to head with Paul Skeens, and I don't think Skeens is bad. He actually had 2 that they weren't ruled errors, but they could have been errors. But he technically got the better of Paul Skeens. So yeah, he looked good today.
All right. We, unfortunately that is not on our slate, but we have a slew of good pitchers, right? A lot of good pitchers on the 8-gamer tonight. Zach Wheeler, a right-hander taking on Houston. He's one of the best pitchers, one of the better pitchers in baseball. Logan Webb at home versus the Marlins. Awesome ballpark, 2 great environments. Problem is they're kind of expensive. And again, the sites they've been really proactive as far as bumping up the Dodgers, as they should in Coors. Max Fried is spectacular. Tough ballpark for homers. Of course, he does a really good job keeping the ball on the ground, so that should neuter the home runs, at least to some extent. Oh, we did have a potential weather. Rotha's going to be on it a bit. I want to give a refresh, see if anything's changed here. I think it actually was updated. I think it was yellow-orange earlier, and now it's just straight yellow in Minnesota. So I think it got a little bit better. I'll go ahead and drop this link in chat for the people. We're going to assume every game goes, unless Roth tells us otherwise. But yeah, read this at your own leisure. It's green, yellow in Cincinnati. That's not scary. Green, yellow for the Mets. We have green, yellow in St. Louis. Expects it to be hot there as well, unless something has changed as far as weather edge. Look like a pretty good hitting environment. It's been pretty good as far as heat, many places around the country. Not good for going outside. At least that's my estimation. But good for if we're going to be sitting at home in our AC and watching some baseball and we want some dingers. Let's see where we're at as far as it's actually took a slight hit. 145 game sample. It is 90 degrees as far as the temp in St. Louis, but pretty neutral as far as the results. 0.4 difference in homers, 1.4 difference in runs. So not anything terribly dramatic, but anything else as far as no, not really. We'll keep our eye on it. This stuff changes sometimes. Just kind of throw in the back of our minds. Kansas City's got the fire emoji. It's hot there. Of course, it's not a great ballpark. 4 home runs in general. Big downgrade for Tampa coming from St. Pete, but it is a good ballpark today. 91 is the Tampa, 11 miles per hour as far as the wind blowing out to left center. Kyle, you have an overview as far as this slate? Is it the old fork in the road? Are you going to be more likely on Dodgers? I think they're kind of in their own tier. We'll do tiers later. We'll have that discussion. Yankees look pretty good. I thought the Cubs looked pretty good. Their team total is not as high as expected. I actually bet them plus money over 2.5 runs the first 5 earlier in the day, and I felt pretty good about that. The weather's got a little bit less appealing, but obviously the Cubs have a really good offense. Fetty has been fine, but he's not somebody we're afraid of. How are you seeing the slates? Really good pitching and very, very clear best offensive environments. Do you have a decision point? Are you making one lineup? Are you going like multiple routes? How are we handling it?
Yeah, so I'm doing one lineup on each site tonight. Just kind of, it's not necessarily my favorite. I typically don't like Coors Field slates unless I'm like happy to fade them and get some leverage that way. I obviously don't love fading the Dodgers and Coors, although it's a little bit easier on DraftKings with the price tag. But I think for this slate, like the key kind of where you should start is just asking yourself if you want to fade some of these popular offenses or not. And I think there's going to be 2 offenses that I think are going to be very popular. It's going to be the Dodgers and the Yankees. I don't think we're going to see like a lot of ways to obviously get both of those teams in together. So I think a lot of people are going to just have a choice between one of the 2 and then go from there. There is plenty of good pitching, and I think there are some pitching options down the board that you can take some shots on in terms of being a little bit different and saving some salary. So I think that's definitely the way to sort of ask the kind of overlying question on the slate is if you're going to try to get different with bats or not. And then in terms of like the pitching options up top, I think there are some good options. Obviously, Webb and Wheeler are very good real life pitchers. I don't necessarily love the matchups. I don't think that they're super high strikeout upside matchups. So I think there's ways to not play those guys and still get away with having a strong lineup or even maybe some pitchers down a ways in terms of salary that could potentially compete with them and their ceilings. So I think it's definitely an interesting slate because you have 2 really expensive pitchers who I think are both fine. You have 2 expensive offenses and 2 highly owned offenses. So it kind of comes down to if you want to sort of build with the public there or get differently right off the bat.
Looking at Wheeler's matchup versus Houston, obviously it's going to be a pile of righties. They did get a little more left-handed, but the addition of Hummel is now on the team, so he's a lefty. And Taylor Trammell, forgive me, I don't know when he became an Astro. Did I miss this? He has no at-bats this year officially versus righty, so maybe it just happened. Where did Taylor Trammell play? Seattle, yeah. Yep. I feel like he strikes out a lot, and he's got some power. I have not pulled up. He's got a 0% K rate and 0 at-bats, so that's not very helpful. As far as the play IQ, I guess I can go back to last season. Well, what did he have last year? 7 at-bats. He struck out 42% of the time. There you go. There's a reason why he left Seattle. They kicked him off the team. And Wheeler with 32% as far as the Ks. I believe has the biggest K rate on this slate. 32.9%. Second is Joe Ryan at 28.7%. Although his splits are pretty dramatic, right? Joe Ryan's splits. What did we get as far as the iteration of lefties and righties for Joe Ryan? Because 20% Ks versus lefties and 35% Ks versus righties. That is a big difference. Yeah. So how many lefties is he getting?
6.
The official lineup, 6 lefties.
6, yeah.
Crawford, Big Dumper, Polanco, Raleigh, Young, and Mastroboni. It's not a great collection of lefties. but and also they're pretty contact heavy.
Yeah.
What's our take on that as far as Joe Ryan? How do we feel? Again, big separation as far as left versus right, 35% versus righties, 20% versus lefties. Where do we have Joe Ryan in the bucket?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on the list in terms of he's a little bit cheaper than a couple of the top end options. I do wish the matchup was a little bit better. I do think there could be they could have definitely trotted out a more strikeout prone lineup for him here. Obviously, they did not, but I still think he's definitely on the list. I will say, though, it's kind of one of these spots where, for me, I don't think you necessarily have to think this way, but if you're not doing too many lineups, like it's either you got these top 2 pitching options or you're probably trying to save some salary. I think on FanDuel, it's a little bit more of a spot where, I think Ryan's almost 1.5K cheaper than Webb and Wheeler. So you can definitely still make the case there. But in terms of DraftKings, I kind of feel like once you are up at the top here with Ryan, I do sort of like Wheeler and Webb just more. I know there's still a little bit of savings there, but I think if you're up here in this tier anyway, you can probably just find the salary to get up to those 2 guys. But I definitely think he's still in play. Matchup could be better. The lineup could be better for him strikeout wise, but I definitely think he still has some strikeout upside here.
By the way, the first clue for Fleet Wednesday, I don't know if anybody's got it just yet. The first clue is retired.
Richard Hamilton.
Dude, how did you know it was Rip? How did you know it was Rip Hamilton? You didn't think about it. He's definitely retired. He fits the qualifications as far as we know.
I can't be wrong so far.
I mean, right now you're on the right path. Would have been one time I said retired. This is a true story. TJ nailed it. I think he ruined the game. I think he publicly said it. I don't know if he ruined the game, but he somehow the answer was Dan Marino. He surmised that of course it's Dan Marino. And I'm from South Florida, and like this, I was so angry. I was so mad at TJ, but hopefully nobody got retired and won. But there you go. To your point, by the way, on FanDuel, currently Joe Ryan is our most popular pitcher, 21%. It's like you're saving, like you said, 1.4K off of Wheeler. Basically the same thing off of Webb. Wheeler and Webb coming around 15, 16%. Kirby at 13. You're getting a discount on Kirby, who's been kind of underwhelming. I don't know if Wander Franco is actually officially retired. I don't. It's so funny. The situation's not funny, but I was talking to a friend of mine about Franco just last night. I was talking about Wander. He's a Rays fan. I just don't hear that name anymore. He's like, yeah, but that's a conversation for another show. On DK, popularity wise, it's Zach Wheeler.
Have you seen that? Like, I don't know if somebody's behind the Instagram account or if he's got a phone in jail, but have you seen his Instagram account like randomly comments on things?
No, I have not. I'm no.
I have no idea what if that's like just like a friend who had a password or someone who hacked it, or if he's literally just sitting there in jail. But is he saying appropriate Instagram things? Account has been like periodically active.
Yeah, and he's okay. Do I want to know what kind of comments? I would imagine maybe things are hurting his case. I'm not sure, but I guess I'll have to get on the gram to find out. Wheeler 41%, Fried at 30, Yamamoto 25. This is all kind of surprising to me, Kyle. I mean, you tell me otherwise. Wheeler, I get. I think he's the most popular pitcher at 41%. Yes, Fried, sure, 30%. We know the ceiling's not amazing, but he's also a guy that can eat 7 innings. If he's, assuming his pitch count's in check, the BABIP's in check and all that. I'm surprised that Yamamoto's coming in 25%. That's pretty surprising to me. Webb at 20 at home versus the Marlins just seems a little low to me. Is my read wrong here? I know you were on this. I don't even know if you did this. Maybe you did. And I'm not calling anybody out. Whoever does this does a better job than I do would. But sometimes this kind of looks weird to me. Is it strange that Yamamoto's getting 25% and Webb's getting 20, and they're kind of the same price? I guess you're getting a little bit of discount on Yamamoto, but is it enough?
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say the cheaper salary is probably just in the ownership model is just making it easier to get Yamamoto into some lineups, and obviously the matchup is still really good, even though he's in Coors Field. 6.5 strikeout prop for him, 6.5 strikeout prop for Logan Webb. I think we have them right around the same strikeout projection. I think we actually have Yamamoto for a little bit higher of a strikeout projection, which I think is totally fair. I think he probably has more of a chance to give up some power and some runs, obviously, in Coors Field. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the Marlins aren't necessarily a great strikeout matchup. So I can see the case being made that Yamamoto actually has a higher ceiling than Webb here. I think his floor is much lower, but I can see the argument that Yamamoto actually has the higher ceiling between the two.
No official lineup yet for the Marlins. They're playing on the West Coast, so it's like 5 hours out or so. But the projected lineup, 20% as far as the strikeouts, as far as your point. Stowers and Norby and Myers are the ones in the red. Everybody else in the green. And Webb is, a good pitcher, a really good pitcher, not an amazing strikeout pitcher, a good strikeout pitcher, 28%. The ballpark, like you said, when it comes to upside and floor and things like that, the Marlins team total, according to the lineup page, is 2.75. That's, when we start getting below 3, that's pretty bad. I think it was it whoever faced Scooball yesterday had like a 2-something. I can't remember what it was. Scooball, I guess, wasn't really keeping an eye on it. I think he gave up a couple homers, right?
He did, yeah. One to Rooker and one to Denzel Clark.
Yeah, Denzel Clark. You would not. He's usually robbing home runs, not actually knocking them out himself. So Yamamoto and Coors, and we'll kind of take a peek here at the plate IQ as well. To your point, as far as there is some upside, we have an official Colorado lineup. Freeman is super contact heavy and very annoying if you're going against them. 5.8%. That's like Luis Arraez territory almost. Versus right-handers, but Goodman 27%, Beck 25, McMahon 30, Toglia, who is toiling in the minors, right? They call him back up 43% and 163 at bats. When he hits it, the ball goes far, but he doesn't hit it very often. Moniak, by the way, I didn't know Mickey Moniak had power. Is this new? Are we buying this? He's got power this year.
That'll probably help out when you get to play in Coors.
So it doesn't hurt. That's a fair point. But collectively 25.8%, so more Ks to be had. 28.3% for Yamamoto, so very similar as far as the K rate when you compare versus Webb, but the environment distinctly different. I just feel like I'm going to have either Webb or Wheeler in every lineup, like one of those two. I don't make a lot of lineups. I hand build. I'm probably not going to have all the Dodgers. I just think, I'm going to like yesterday. I didn't have all the Dodgers. I had some pieces here and there. Ohtani homered, but you didn't need it. I had this conversation with Chop yesterday. He's like 7. Is he still 7.72? What is he?
He's 7.4 now. He got bumped up even more.
I had this conversation with Chop yesterday, and we had a disagreement, which is fine. Respect his opinion. But if Ohtani gives you a solo home run and nothing else, I can promise you that. But he's going to give you no more, no less. I'm not paying 7.4 for 14 points. I'm just not. It's not going to necessarily hurt me.
Right.
But now he can, of course, hit 2 homers and steal 2 bases somehow or whatever and put up 40 points. That could happen. And then I go to bed or I fire up Netflix or whatever. But, a lot of guys are going to homer, I think. I'm probably not going to get to Ohtani is what I'm kind of saying here, despite the fact that he is the best offensive player. His floor is still 0. It's still 0.
Yep.
And I know the pitchers' floors are 0 too, but I feel much better with the floor of players like Wheeler, and I'll spend on those guys and figure the bats out is sort of my approach. If you were running 150, Kyle, say you're running 150 today, there's 16 pitchers, 8 games. Who doesn't make the pool? We talked about this the other day. I feel like you probably could make an argument for 10 of these guys, maybe 11. There's not a lot of just cross that player out because, again, a cheap pitcher gets you access to the Dodgers or the Yankees. TJ in chat saying his pool is 8 pitchers. He's got half of them. Do you want to play the game? You want to answer the question, or you want to play the game and guess TJ's 8 pitchers?
Yeah, we can do that.
Don't guess mine. I'm on the next show. We can worry about my pitchers then.
I can tell you the guys I'm crossing out.
Okay.
Dollander, Fuentes, Fetty, those 3 are for sure gone.
Okay.
Colton Gordon is probably gone. So that's 4 guys. Yeah. So that leaves
Singer.
Singer's firmly in my pool.
Okay.
Firmly. He might be at the top of my pool.
Well, okay, so let's start there.
Little spoiler. Yeah. I love Brady Singer today.
Give me the pitch.
Well, first of all, I did a very long write-up yesterday on Chase Burns. Talked all about why the Yankees kind of suck and how they're allowing all these bad pitchers to just rack up all these strikeouts against them. Yes, they do have some power in their lineup, but I mean, we're talking guys who have like just absolutely no strikeout arsenal, like Kahanowitz, Kyle Hendricks, Sagano, Dean Kramer's like fine for strikeout purposes, but Zach Eflin, all these guys are putting up these strong strikeout numbers against this team, and they just are just extremely swing heavy right now. They chase, and they just, and even more importantly, is they're actually taking a lot of strikes as well. So this Yankees team is just really high strikeout upside matchup right now, and they're going to be very popular today because Singer has had some struggles over the last couple of months, but in terms of recently, coming off of two of his best starts of the year. I know he only had 4 strikeouts in that matchup against the Tigers, but he handled that strong lineup very well, and then 7 strikeouts last time against the Cardinals, who are a very low strikeout team. So Singer appears to be turning the corner potentially, and I'm at least willing to take a shot on it because I do think there's a lot of upside in this matchup. And yes, there's a lot of risk in this matchup as well, because if he does have a bad game, this team does have a ton of power to take advantage of that. And if the Yankees do have a big game, they're going to be popular. But if you get a bad performance from one of your pitchers, you're probably dead anyway. So obviously, like a big part of this for me is I wanted to fade the Yankees. So if I'm going to fade the Yankees anyway, why not just go all the way through with it and use the pitcher against them in a spot where salary is very nice to have in terms of saving some at the pitcher position. And then you're also getting a ton of strikeout upside as well. So Singer's, he's not a massive strikeout guy. He's right around 20% on the year. He was higher last season, and I do think he'll actually get closer to that 22-23% number that he was at last year. But yeah, I think this is a spot where if I'm already looking to fade the Yankees, why not just double down and use that pitcher? Because again, if they're not going to have a big game, I firmly believe that if they're struggling, it's because they just aren't hitting the ball and that they're generating a lot of strikeouts. So why not double down and go all the way with using the pitcher against them?
I was tilting yesterday with Burns. I was kind of bummed that Stanton was not in the lineup. I wanted Stanton in a couple easy Ks in there, but you do get Stanton in there today. Of course, he has this massive power and he can hit it 500 feet and just like bunt the ball out of the ballpark there in Cincinnati. But 40% Ks, 42% Ks this season against right-handers, it's a huge number. And you want to see him in there. Like hypothetically, if you're rostering Brady Singer, you would love the throw baseballs against 9 Giancarlo Stantons. And maybe you'll give a couple solo homers, but you'll strike out 12, So you love seeing him in there. I think he's in the pool. You've convinced me. I'm looking to play that IQ stuff. Yeah, ton of power. Terrible ballpark for power. He's a fly ball pitcher too, which is concerning in Cincinnati. But Jazz strikes out a ton. Dominguez, Volpe, Wells, even Judge. When he's not getting his base knocks, he's striking out a fair bit. So let me ask you this. Would you play him in a single entry? Or no, you're talking large field only?
I mean, right now he's in my FanDuel single entry lineup. So he's not even my SB2 on DraftKings. I mean, I haven't built my DraftKings lineup yet, but right now he's my pitcher on FanDuel. And again, it's just a spot where, again, Wheeler and Webb feel very safe, but I wouldn't be surprised if neither of those guys touch 50 on FanDuel, where it's fairly low strikeout matchups for both of them, Houston and Miami. Neither of those teams strike out too much. And again, they definitely are both capable of beating a tough strikeout matchup and racking up 7-8 Ks. No doubt about that. But if Singer puts up 40 and these guys put up 50, I'd rather have Singer. And I think the fact is, like, okay, yes, if Singer does give up some bombs, that's fine. But again, I'm not planning to play the Yankees anyway. So if I don't play Brady Singer and the Yankees go off, I'm probably dead anyway. I'm certainly not getting first place because the Yankees are going to be so popular. So that's why I have added interest in Singer. And yes, ballpark not great, but I'm hopefully we'll get strikeouts from Brady Singer. So if he's able to,
park doesn't matter.
Yeah. So if we're missing bats, then it's definitely a high risk play. But again, that's kind of what we're doing here in tournaments.
You're on an island, and on FanDuel you can't miss. Like obviously a pitcher you cannot miss. You have one pitcher out there, you got to get him right. On DK you can kind of sort of somewhat miss with the SP2 and sort of get away with it. We have Singer at 2% right now on FanDuel, so and it's going to be even lower than that in single entry. I love it.
Yep.
Did you say your Dodgers? I assume you're playing Dodgers. That's a different way of playing the Dodgers. Is that what you're doing?
Yep, 100%.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
And for what it's worth, if you are playing Singer, you probably shouldn't be fading the Dodgers because there's really no upside to it. Because like again, if you're gonna, where else are you gonna put your salary? I guess maybe
Cubs?
The Mets. Yeah, Cubs or Mets maybe, but for me, it's like if you're gonna get so different at the pitcher, like you're talking, like you said, 2%. He could be I could potentially be the only person to use Singer in this contest. Like that's what we're looking at here. So if that's the case, I might as well go to the team with everyone in the world knows that okay, if ownership didn't matter and you just had to pick the team that's going to score the most runs, obviously most people are going to be picking the Dodgers here, so you might as well go down that road.
I'm trying to think like their contest. They've shrunk the context size over there in FanDuel, so I have not been playing over there as much. We're talking like the 50. Is that what we're talking about? Or
yeah. So it's like 100 people or something like that. 90 in the $50 one.
You'll be the only guy. You'll be the only one with them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it's a hedge against the Yankees and kind of a double down against it. I like it, and you're shooting to win. You're not trying to min cash necessarily.
Yep, 100%.
Anything else? But we did get the second clue. The second clue is scrolling right now. Now things are opening up. I don't know if it's Rip Hamilton anymore. Retired is the first clue. Second clue is Ocean. Ocean is the second clue. Get in that Discord. Win yourself a week free of RG Premium. Somebody gets Secretariat. It fits the qualifications, but it's not Secretariat. Or Larry Johnson, Albert Pujols, Kyle Korver. I just love the random names because there's really not much you can go on. It's not Manny Ramirez or Doug Christie or Kenny Lofton or Billy Wagner. Some players I haven't thought about in a while, but some good names there for sure. Anything else you want to stress as far as pitchers that we should note before we move on and talk about our stacks?
So if I have a guess, can I throw it out? This is my first time being on a show where I'm doing Fleet Wednesday with you or a Fleet Day.
Yeah.
Can I throw out a guess or no?
You guess in the private chat just in case. You can type it in the private chat, and if you happen to nail it, just in case, in the off chance. I'm not saying you can't do it. It is not Frank Thomas. It is not the Big Hurt.
Okay.
I'm curious what Ocean. How did Ocean get you to Frank Thomas?
Because Frank Ocean, the artist. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's good. It's a good thought process. Good. That it wasn't. That I see where you're going with that though. Yeah. There's different ways to interpret it. Tim says, just say it. Yeah, just ruin. Tim wants to ruin the game. In the off chance, it's happened before where the game just kind of gets ruined, and then whoever can type it fast enough gets a week free of premium. Michael Phelps being thrown out there. I can see why. Okay, you want to give me some people just tuned in late. They missed the first half hour of the show. Give me the summary as far as how you're attacking pitchers. We'll talk about stacks in a second.
Yeah, so I mean, I talked about the Brady Singer angle, and obviously I'm being a little bit more aggressive on being different at the pitcher position today. But if you are someone who wants to maybe build a little bit safer, a little bit more optimally, or you're not playing as many lineups, Wheeler and Webb are definitely the clear-cut safest options on the board on both sites. Then you kind of have a tier below them where it's guys who have the upside to maybe compete with these guys, but maybe not as safe, like projection-wise. You have Ryan, Fried, and Yamamoto in that 8.8 to 9.5 on DraftKings range. So I think that's like the tier 2 options. Then you have a couple of cheaper punt options that I do have some interest in. Brady Singer is my favorite. Again, risky play, but does have some upside. And then Drew Rasmussen, I also do like a little bit here as well. Not a great strikeout matchup, but he's got some really good underlying metrics. He's got a really high stuff plus grade so far this season, a number that's actually right around where like Paul Skeens is at stuff plus wise. Only a 22 or 23% strikeout rate on the year, about 27% CSW rate. So I like Rasmussen. He does only have like a 3.5 strikeout prop. For what it's worth, I took the over on that at scores and odds, so I do like him more than the books do. But
what's the juice on that? That seems low.
It was minus 105 earlier. I think it got up to minus 125 on DraftKings when I checked it earlier this morning. But when I took it like late in the middle of the night, it was at minus 105. So I do like that bet quite a bit. Michael Wacha, I also think is somewhat of a guy that's in play, but I think he's sort of risky because Tampa Bay's obviously been really good this year, at least recently, and I don't think he has a strikeout upside that Singer has, so I probably prefer to go to Singer So those are the guys that I'm looking at in terms of like cheaper SP2 options. I do think for Kirby's at least in play. The Twins have been striking out a lot over the last 2 weeks. Not typically a team that has a lot of strikeout upside as a matchup, but for what's worth, Kirby also has looked a little rusty since returning. Obviously, he's been struggling with some power against lefties, but his strikeout rate against righties has been a lot higher. I think it looks like there's 5 righties in the lineup. So Kirby also maybe brings in a little bit of a risk reward type angle into another cheaper-ish option.
Can I tell you how much I hate the update for DraftKings? You're pulling it up and trying to look at stats and things like this. Like they don't even give, unless I'm missing something. It's possible I'm just a big old dope. They don't. They used to say like, how many DK points did this person score for this particular game? They don't give that. Like, you think at one place you can find it? I don't know. Maybe on DraftKings. They don't have that. I think they have it in the lineups page for RotoGrinders, but it happened to be on DK. He had that one ridiculous outlier game where he struck out 14 Angels, and the Angels strike out a lot versus righties. Besides that, 3, 5, 3, 4, 4. So you want any of that nonsense? Not really. I'm not saying he's toast. It's just weird. He's not been in great form, like you said. He had one really, really usable score, and the rest of it just has been pretty unspectacular. Getting a little bit of a discount, I suppose, off what you think he is.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a good point because he hasn't really had a ton of starts this year. I think he has 5 or 6 starts. So that
6.
Yeah, and that Angels game's probably inflating a lot of these numbers. But so that's a good point.
We just got the Dodgers. No Will Smith. It's Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Muncy, Teoscar, Pages, Edman, Conforto. Everybody moving up there. 1 with Will Smith getting out of the lineup. And then rushing is in the 9 hole. So I imagine he's probably going to be a pretty popular catcher, despite the fact he's in 9th. How much is he? If he's like 4K? Oh, he's 3-4. Yeah, he's going to be very popular.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to get in the lineup.
Yeah, against the righty. And there's not a heavy lefty contingency as far as their bullpen for Colorado. I think it's just one dude, unless they just change things. Did you see the Mets signed Dickie Lovelady yesterday? He made an appearance in the game. The broadcast had a whole conversation about it, and then DFA'd him today. Like he's already gone. I don't know what's the most memorable moment as far as the Dickie Lovelady regime for the Mets. Do you have one that stands out for you? Probably not.
No. The most memorable thing I have of him is them calling him Richard Lovelady, and then him being like, no, I want to go by Dickie. So they were talking about this. After watching the broadcast, I don't know if you come to the games you watch. I got the pass. The Mets are like my favorite booth. I like listening to the Mets. So like if I'm listening to a game, that's my default if they're on the quad box. So apparently what happened was, like, he told people, he said, all my friends call me Dickie. He was telling the media that. And then there was a reaction by the Twitter and things of that sort. Like, oh, Dickie Lovelady. Okay, that's interesting. And he somehow didn't anticipate that reaction. Like, he didn't know that he has that kind of name. Nobody told him. I'm not sure. And then he walked it back. He said, you know what? Yeah, my friends call me that, but it's probably best if the media just calls me Richard. So, yeah. So now I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he did not anticipate that people would find something out of what his name is. Okay, let's go ahead and drop that third clue for Fleet. It's, by the way, today's Fleet Wednesday. It's not Dickie Lovelady. That would have been a fun one to choose for sure. Yeah. The third clue is space. Space is the third clue. Retired, ocean, space. Let's see. It's not Vladimir Klitschko or Freddie Fastball Gibbons. I don't know who that is. Is that a real pitcher? Somebody from the old days, I would imagine. Or Lennox Lewis. Or it's not Dan Marino. Or Troy Polamalu. Guess is coming in here in the Discord channel. Okay, so today's tier category, it's NBA draft night. So we just ranked the 21st century. We kept it as 21st century. I did a late swap, by the way, Kyle. I did a late swap. I was talking to TJ, and TJ talked me out of the second hole. But we power ranked the best number one picks. The best number one picks in the 21st century. Let me know in chat. There's only 25 dudes to choose from. So tell me in chat who the best. I mean, number one is kind of obvious. I think it's kind of obvious. If you want to say Shaq, you're wrong, but you can say Shaq. I guess he's a one. I guess he
wouldn't. He also wouldn't be in this century. or in the 21st century.
Shaq like 90? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Shaq was 96, 97. Yeah. Bad job by me. I don't know why I was saying Shaq. Kobe? Was Kobe late 90s too?
Shaq was actually
it's not Kobe either.
Yeah, Shaq was 92.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I thought, because I was looking at the board and yeah, all right, bad job by me.
Duncan was 96 or 97 because I only know that because we were looking it up earlier. But yeah, Shaq's an OG.
Yeah, I don't know why my brain was wrong on that, but because originally we didn't put 21st century and then we kind of modified there, and I forgot to throw Shaq out of my brain. But the fives are pretty easy to come up with too. Pretty clear who the fives are. We just chose one of them, but yeah, we can go ahead and see what the chat has. Yeah, Olajuwon. Olajuwon was the 80s. Olajuwon was I think he was taken first in the Jordan draft, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was 1, and Jordan was 3. And Portland took God, what's the guy's name who had his legs just fall out of him? It doesn't matter. But
Sam Bowie.
Sam Bowie, thank you.
Yeah,
Sam Bowie. It was probably one of the right calls at the time. It wasn't a terrible decision at the time, but injuries did him in pretty quickly. But let's go ahead and reveal the board. Kobe was 96. Yeah, bad job by me. Did some work on this, and I guess I just forgot that. I don't know. I'll just take the L. We'll move on. We'll show the board. We have LeBron in the one hole, of course. We were debating on the worst. Anthony Bennett was the winner for that one. It could have been a couple other guys, I suppose. Kwame Brown, somebody else we could have considered. The two, I did a late swap with TJ. TJ was like besmirching Anthony Edwards, Kyle. He was not a fan. And I was like,
yeah.
I was just saying, how can you have Anthony Edwards above Derrick Rose when Anthony Edwards at no point yet has become as good as Derrick Rose was?
Yeah, well, you're betting on the come, I suppose. But yeah, I guess.
But then, if he does it, but that's it's a prediction. It's a prediction. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Rose had a 3-year window when he was really, really good. He was MVP, of course, and then he was done in by injuries. His a great run until it wasn't. A big bummer. One of those what ifs, of course. So we put Anthony Davis in the 2-hole. Kyle, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think one thing I was kind of considering is like what the player did for the franchise that drafted them. And like, Anthony Davis was obviously good for the Pelicans, but didn't really do anything for the team until went to the Lakers. So that's kind of something I was thinking. That's Ant's done good things for the Timberwolves. So I understood why we had him at 2, but I can get it. Anthony Davis has definitely had the better career for sure. And like the peak of what he is or was, Edwards hasn't gotten there yet for sure.
If we're counting specifically like what they have done for their franchise, I would agree with you that Anthony Edwards is above both D Rose and Anthony Davis because not that he's won anything big yet, but he's just taken the Timberwolves out of complete mediocrity.
Yeah, so that's like mainly what I was considering, and that's kind of why like for Ben Simmons, like Markelle Fultz was like it's pretty much the same thing. Him and Ben Simmons are basically the same thing for me. So we had a couple of talks about that, but someone's saying isn't Ben Simmons last? Anthony Bennett is like maybe
have you
the
seen
worst.
Anthony Bennett?
Anthony Bennett is maybe the worst pick in any sport ever. Like
Canada's Anthony Bennett. We should point that out. TJ,
the only rebuttal is like there was no good number 1 pick in that draft, but like even still, there was like Giannis, I believe, is that draft, and he was at like 16 or something. But like
13.
That was the like worst draft ever. But I agree with you, Anthony Bennett is like that one's crazy because like it was a bad draft and he was still projected to get picked like 14.
Yeah, I mean there were. I get your point that there was no like good number 1s and at that point, but like they could have accidentally taken somebody else. Like they could have handed in the wrong slip and done better. Like Tony Snell,
do a Minnesota Vikings and just let the other teams jump in front of you.
Tony Snell was in that draft class, and if they took him at number 1, he would still be the worst number 1 pick of all time, but he would have been better than Anthony Bennett. Like that's how bad. Like I can't even think of a worse pick in any other sport. I mean, I don't really pay too close attention to like the MLB drafts.
Kwame Brown's up there.
There are bigger busts than Anthony Bennett because Anthony Bennett, nobody actually thought he was good, but he's without a doubt the worst player ever taken number 1.
Mr. Richard says Adam Morrison, but he was not a number 1 pick. Yeah, Morrison was like 7 or 8 or something like that for Charlotte.
Yeah, I think just the fact that he was the number 1 overall, there's so much weight to the number 1 overall pick, especially in the NBA. And he, like, I don't even remember him playing a game. Like, I could not even think of him, of what his skill was. Like, I don't even remember what he.
Greg Oden. Another guy with injuries in Portland. Their history with centers is not great, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of feel bad. Like, that one's more of an injury-related thing, so it's like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But Anthony Bennett was just terrible. Horrible.
He was not good. Yeah, he owns that 5. I mean, Bargnani's another bad one in this century. Shout out to TJ's Toronto Raptors.
That wasn't that bad. Aldridge was obviously better, but like that's still a guy that averaged 20+ points a game for 5 to 10 seasons.
Wait a second. I want a correction on that. That's
20?
not true. It did 5 to 10 seasons is a big range too. You're lucky if you get 5.
Big, yeah. I was somewhere in the 5. He wasn't anywhere
in the Italian league. What league
are you
talking about?
He did it once. But like,
honestly, once is more than I even thought.
21, 19. It's not like another 15. Like, it's not like he was horrific.
Yeah, that also isn't like like you mentioned, you had Aldridge behind him, but not like
Aldridge or like no other options. Tyus Thomas.
You got
Bulls.
Yeah,
he wasn't good. All right, let's throw some teams in some tiers. Let's drop the 4th clue too. I think we're getting there. We're going to get there in a second. First 3 clues: retired, ocean, space. The 4th clue: dynasty. Retired, ocean, space, dynasty. Get in that Discord. Win yourself a week free of RG Premium. You have Kirkwood, KirkDiese in the bullpen coming out in about a half hour or so, as well as chief mineralogist Kevin Roth and Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. We care about the Bat today. We'll care about the Blitz soon enough. All right, let's throw some teams and some tiers. The first game we're talking about on the night slate, starting at 7:10, it's the Braves. The Braves at the Mets. Clay Holmes at home versus Didier Fuentes. Mets are pretty heavy favorites here, minus 144. I had this game completely wrong yesterday. I thought Montez was going to get beat up, and turned out the bullpen was a disaster. But like, I watched that game. Montez, like, he just cannot throw a strike. I don't know if you were watching that game. It was really tilting because I was on the Braves pretty heavily. I think you were too in the write-up, if I'm not mistaken. We were both on the Braves pretty strong, and it was a tilting game watching Montez get away with it. But then the bullpen just completely unraveled. They were worked pretty hard last night for the Mets. Where do you have New York and the Braves?
Yeah, so I agree. I mean, yesterday, this Mets bullpen's got to be a little bit taxed, but in terms of the matchup here with Holmes, like I think Holmes is still a pretty solid pitcher, but more importantly, pretty good at preventing power. Only allowing a 124 ISO on the year. So we'll put Braves just because obviously they have a fairly good offense. We'll put them in the Derrick Rose tier there, and also lack of ownership I think is also somewhat appealing for that Braves team, but probably not a team I get to a ton. And the Mets are going to be in the LeBron category. Fuentes, I don't have like a super good read on him. I know he's a young guy. Like, he's obviously here out of sort of urgency, right? They don't have a ton of, obviously they've dealt with some injuries at the pitching position. So like a 20, 21-year-old kid. So ideally he probably wouldn't be here right now if they would allow or were able to have him in the minors and developing a little bit more. Profiles is kind of a wild guy here in terms of his command, but also just a tough matchup for an inexperienced pitcher to have top to bottom. You have obviously you have the catcher in the 9-hole who's not super productive power wise, but 1 through 8 you have trouble there. So I like the Mets here in the top tier.
So the Mets, you got them hanging out with LeBron. The Braves hanging out with D Rose. Let's move on. Next game on the docket, it is the Yankees. The Yankees in Cincinnati. You've kind of shown your hand as far as how you feel about it. Of course, the Yankees have almost a 5.5 team total against Bryan Singer, locked in for 9 in a good ballpark. The Reds are significant dogs here against the lefty and Max Fried. You know, the ballpark elevates homers, but Max Fried is not the ball get elevated, so it's tricky to hit homers off him no matter what the ballpark happens to be. New York, significant favorites, minus 218. Where are we throwing the Reds and the Yankees?
Yeah, not super interested in the Reds here. Their production this year has been a lot worse against lefties compared to last year, although Ellie De La Cruz has had some improved power against lefties, so that's obviously nice for them to see. But Reds are still going to be in the Anthony Bennett tier. Obviously, really respect Max Fried. and his ability to not only this year generate some swings and misses, but just limit power in general. And then the Yankees, listen, I understand that I'm lower on them because of ownership purposes. I'm still going to put them in the Anthony Davis tier. I know a lot of people probably across the industry are going to have them as a top tier stack today. I think that's fine. I think if people, like the Yankees, I think that that's fine. But for me, the way I'm building lineups, the way that the public is stacking the Yankees, I'm going to put them in the Anthony Davis tier, give them a little bit of a bump because of that.
All right, 2 games down, 6 games to go. Keep hitting that like button. I'm not sure if TJ is unleashing Spidey's. Maybe Spidey needs a day off. I've not seen Spidey Bombs just yet, but I know TJ's been a gamer. He's been dealing with the back, that somehow makes it more difficult to communicate with Spidey. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
He's also jumping on later. Just reached 50 likes, Dean. So you got to pump these likes up.
Oh my God, it's been. It's a Wednesday night. It's a small slate, so I guess we do have incoming Spidey Bombs. If you keep hitting the like button, I imagine the next threshold will be 100. We still have no winners, by the way. No winners just yet in the Discord channel. Roger Clemens, Magic Johnson, Andre Iguodala, Dennis Rodman, Roger Staubach. There's a collection of names. I promise you, it's all going to make sense. Maybe things will change after we release the 5th clue, which will do so after this game we break down. It's the Rays and the Royals. Do we not have a Rays lineup just yet? I don't think so, right? Oh, yeah, there we do. No, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Diaz, Lau, Cabanero, Aranda, Morel, Lowe, Caballero. Oh, Chandler Simpson, the speedster, is back. We saw him come back last night. And then Danny Jansen doing the catching here. 9.5 total. Pretty big total for Tampa. It's on the verge of 5 locked in for 9 on the road versus Waka. Rasmussen doing the pitching for them. And we did see a pretty positive hitting environment, more so than it typically is in Kansas City, according to Weather Edge. You have the Royals on the other side, Caglione, Witt, Vinny P. Sal, you got a cheap Sal Perez. I don't really like picking on Rasmussen, but I think there's at least some cheap spots there. You still can overspend on Witt if you want to. Where are you at for the Rays and the Royals?
Yeah, I think the Royals, obviously they've been playing really, really bad. I think they're dead last in OPS over the last 30 days, and last in runs against right-handed starting pitchers over the last 30 days as well. So I think this is a team that's probably better than what we've seen recently. And I do think an interesting thing about them is that a lot of these guys profile as people who can rack up fantasy points without necessarily hitting home runs. Still don't have a ton of interest. I respect Rasmussen. I'll put them in the Ben Simmons category, though. I think they're at least deserving of not being in that bottom tier, even though I do have some interest in Rasmussen myself. Like I mentioned, bet is over on Scores and Odds if you guys want to go check that out as well. And then for Tampa Bay side, I mentioned having like slight interest in Waka, but at the end of the day, it's probably not a guy that I'm going to get to, because if I'm going to be going down in terms of salary, probably going to be looking for someone who I think has a little bit more strikeout upside. This Rays team has been one of the best teams over the last 3 days. I think that they're second in OPS and first in runs over the last 30 days against right-handed pitching. So they've been awesome as of late. They also do typically have some help when they're at home playing in that minor league ballpark there. Last week, I took a Nerfy in one of their games, and I saw Josh Lowe hit a pop-up to right field. It was like 89 exit velo, 89 miles per hour off the bat. Flew right out of there in right field, so that was cool. They're not at home, so I don't like them as much here. So again, they're also going to be in that same Ben Simmons category.
Is that one of my favorite things to see? There's the Twitter account that says unlucky hits. No, the lucky hits. Yeah. My favorite thing to see is lucky hit home run. It's like, it's like this ball had no right going out of the ballpark. Sometimes you'll see it like in Boston as well, when it sneaks by the pole down right field line. But that's essentially what that was. It was one of those lucky hits, home runs. Yeah.
One of my favorite accounts that used to do that, like MLB Barrel Alert or something. They don't have access to like the Twitter automation anymore, so they're only on Blue Sky now. So I didn't see that one for Low.
MLB Exit Velo. MLB Exit Velo. It's a RotoGrinders account, actually, or at least a Better Collective one, and it has all of those that come out on it.
Oh yeah. I do follow this one as well. Yeah.
It does have an RG avatar, so. Yeah, every once in a while you'll catch the lucky hit home run, and it's how does that happen? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that one better have been classified as lucky, because I was fuming when I saw that. I was like, come on now.
And that's speaking of fuming, the worst is like, barrel fly out 412 feet. Yeah. It's like, oh.
That was on the day that you were making fun of me for the left on left PCA Spidey Bomb, who, of course, to no one's surprise, he is the first Spidey Bomb again today because he's plus 500 and should be plus 300. And so it's PCA is the first one again today. But he had 2 barrels and 2 doubles that game that you were giving me a hard time. I was so upset.
Scoreboard. We both could point to the scoreboard, right? You were right, and they didn't go over the fence, so it doesn't count.
We were both right and wrong at the same time. I was right, but I didn't win any money, and so it was like the worst of both worlds.
TJ and Spidey, they are martingaling. If you stay all week long, I think he's picked PCA, and I agree. The number is probably a little bit too low if you can get it at plus 500. You said, is that the number we're getting, TJ? I think that's why I see scrolling.
Yeah, I got it at plus 450 personally, but just because I only have access to one book. But on Scores and Odds, the best one is plus 500.
I was thinking of betting like $2,000 on Flag to be the number 1 pick for like $10. It seems like an easy. Like, what could go wrong?
I saw Grant did that. I think it was like a $3 profit. But
I was talking to Grant about it. Actually, it's funny you say that. We were having a discussion, but he was telling me I have only the Hard Rock, and the Hard Rock is like really trying to screw you. It's like $2 or something like that. But there's no chance he's not the number 1 pick unless something. I don't want to think something really awful happens, right?
Yeah,
he's the number
1.
Yeah.
What was that? Laramie Tunsil type situation? Probably even worse. I don't think
you still draft him if he likes to.
I don't think the face mask of weed is going to get it done to knock him out of the 1 hole tonight.
Somebody did him dirty. Somebody did him really dirty. I think the Dolphins took him 7 or 8 picks later or something like that.
I also think that's funny too, because if that happened today as opposed to 10 years ago when the Tunsil one was, that would have been like maybe he drops a spot or 2, still probably not.
But in basketball, it's like this is a can't miss basketball guy. You come once every 15 years, whatever it is. Although we got one 2 years ago in Wemby. But any event. Fifth clue. Let's drop that 5th clue. I promised the 5th clue after this Tampa Bay and Kansas City game. I have bonus clues if necessary, but the 5 clues for today's Fleet Wednesday: retired, ocean, space, dynasty. One is clue number 5. Get in that Discord, get yourself a week free of RG Premium. You could just pay for it. Go ahead and pay for it. If you commit to 6 months, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, NBA, WNBA, LOL, you get, I believe, 35% off if you commit to that distance. It's the same price for baseball. If you want baseball a la carte, you can do that, sure, but it's the same exact price. You got all the other sports thrown in for free. Should mention the Scores and Odds package. We talked about the prize and pick'em. The pick'em package, talking about things like underdog or prize picks. We have a discount. I think it's half off. Don't quote me. I think it's half off for the first month. If you're in those kind of streets, depending on what state you happen to be in, you can of course use that the same tools to just translate to your sports books as well. So not just DFS available. Get yourself a Combo Premium for 6 months. You can win it. You get yourself a week free of RG Premium if you're the first person to tell me what athlete I'm talking about. And still nobody's guessed it. It was over. 3.5 was the over-under today for Fleet Wednesday, and the over hit. But we'll probably get a winner here momentarily, or I will drop some more clues before crunch time comes in about 15 minutes. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, Kirkwood, KirkDiese, as well as Derek Carty, CEO of the Bats and the Blitz. Mariners, Twins, 2 good pitchers, George Kirby, Joe Ryan, 7.5 total. Where do we have Seattle and Minnesota?
Yeah, this is an interesting spot because I think that at least for one of the sides, the Minnesota bat side, I think there is a lot of risk because I would not be surprised if Kirby pitches a good game because, again, I do think he is a good pitcher. I just don't think we've seen him in top form. But I also think that if he continues to sort of show these signs of rust, or at least maybe lagging back from what he had last year, I do think that this Minnesota team has some upside. So I'll throw Minnesota in the Derrick Rose tier. I have no problem if you like them in the second tier, but again, I do think that there's a little bit of risk that Kirby gets it together tonight, and it's also not like the most amazing lineup. Obviously, you have a couple of guys who I think are playing a bit over their heads, like Roger Clemens Jr., even Ty France a little bit. So a couple of these guys I do think are playing a bit better than I would typically expect. So I'll put them in that tier. And then on the other side here for Seattle, again, this is a team with a ton of power. Joe Ryan's pretty good at limiting power, but he does give up a lot of hard contact. So, I mean, when you're talking about guys like Raleigh and J-Rod, all these guys can get the job done. But typically, I'm not looking to pick on Joe Ryan. So we'll put them in the Derrick Rose tier. Just because, again, I understand that they are a team with a lot of power. But again, Joe Ryan, I think, is a really good pitcher.
Roger Clemens Jr., of course, Cody Clemens. I believe he named every one of his kids with a K for strikeouts, which is a weird thing. I mean, really?
Oh, really?
That's how much you like strikeouts?
Hey, my family is, like I told you before we went live, I have 5 siblings. We're all Ks.
Yeah.
So maybe Roger Clemens is my dad.
Did you? Was your uncle like Nolan Ryan or something like that? It's just,
I wish. If it was, I probably wouldn't be here right now, though. So
yeah, you'd probably be chilling somewhere on a ranch. Like you said, he's been great in small samples. Clemens 275 as far as the ISO against righties this year, and only 6 starts for Kirby. And I too believe he's good, and I think he's going to be fine. But it's alarming. I don't want to say alarming. The sample is super small, but a 293 ISO versus lefties and a 456 WOBA versus lefties. If I'm going to pick on Kirby, it's going to be with the lefties. And I guess you just throw Buxton in the stack because he's like the best hitter on the team. But like you said, you're talking about Clemens, you're talking about Larnack, maybe some Wallner. That's where you would start.
And Willie Castro potentially in the 3-hole.
Yes, yeah. Don't forget about Willie Castro.
Although he might be injured from that Mizorowski strikeout. Still, that was
that was pretty. He was frozen and like he fell down. Like he literally knocked him over without.
He got corkscrewed into the ground. It was definitely like the craziest swing and a miss for a guy I've seen in a while.
It was. It wasn't one of those. What is it? The sword swing? What do they call the sword?
Yeah, sword.
It wasn't. He didn't even swing. Right. I think he just sort of, kind of corkscrewed, like you said, corkscrewed himself into the ground.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think it was a strike on the actual pitch. Next game up, it is the Cubbies, the Cards, Eric Fetty versus Matthew Boyd, 8.5 total. The Cubs have a team total of 4.5. They're minus 157 as far as being favored here. Okay, Garrett Hampson's a Cardinal. When did that happen? Did I miss that? Did you know this? Garrett Hampson's a Cardinal? Shout out to him.
Yeah, I missed that as well. It's crazy. For some reason, he doesn't have very good stats this year. It's almost like he isn't in Coors anymore. Now he's not good.
Well, the Cardinals love picking up like 34-year-old veterans that are no longer good, so he'll fit right in. I don't know how old is he. 30? He's probably not that old these days. In any event, I don't think he's in the pool. I know you're devastated. You wanted Hampson apart. If you wanted a single every 5 at bats, Garrett Hampson's your guy. Yeah. How do you have Chicago and St. Louis?
Yeah. I saw a couple of comments about both of these pitchers being bad in this game, but Matthew Boyd, I don't think that's enough credit to Matthew Boyd. He's been really good over the last year and a half. So I'm going to put the Cardinals pretty low here. I guess I'll put them in the Ben Simmons category because I don't think that they're like completely terrible. They have some guys who hit lefties pretty well. Arenado hasn't done anything much since like the start of last year, but Pozo's pretty good against lefties. Contreras is against lefties. Mason Wynn, who also has some speed, he's pretty good against lefties. So maybe not bottom tier team, but definitely not a team definitely not a pitcher that I'm like, oh yeah, let's stack against Matthew Boyd. I think he's actually been pretty good since the start of last year. And then for the Cubs, Eric Fetty is interesting because obviously he got booted out of the league a couple years ago because he was so bad. He had to go over to either the KBO or Japan and came back and was pretty solid. And now he's kind of like trying to fit into the Miles Michaelis and Andre Palante role. They just need to add Cal Quantrill and they'll have all like the same pitcher. But I will say this wouldn't be a spot where I'd be all that surprised if he is able to avoid some damage. But bottom line is he gives up a lot of hard contact. He doesn't miss any bats, and that's going to probably not be good against a Cubs team that has a ton of power. So I'm going to put them in the top tier where TJ has them. They can be in LeBron James category. And also they get a little bit of added interest for me because they aren't going to be super popular like the Dodgers and the Yankees.
It's funny you mentioned Michaelis. Fetty pitched, like you said, the KBO. I think Michaelis also pitched either KBO or Japan. So I guess they have some scouts over there. Yeah, they like the soft tossing righties. I suppose that's a box they need checked. Philadelphia is taking on Houston. By the way, we have a winner for today's Fleet Wednesday. I was going to give a bonus clue. I'll throw it out there just for fun. The bonus clue: Bonus clue was international. That was the bonus clue, but it's not needed. We do have a winner. Shout out to J Swift 13, getting a week free of RG Premium. Actually, if you have your dealer's choice, he's choosing scores and odds. You can get that as well, whichever you prefer. And if you actually have, you already have the content, you would just get a week added on. So you're still going to get some value to it. Okay, 3 more games to go. I lost my page. It's Philadelphia and Houston. Colton Gordon is throwing baseballs against the Phillies. Zach Wheeler on the other side. Zach Wheeler, really, really good pitcher, obviously, against a slew of righties. There's a couple lefties sneaking in there. Taylor Trammell, Hummel, and then Victor Caratini, the switch hitting catcher who's batting cleanup, because I guess that means their regular catcher is not playing today. That's the way I'm seeing it. Yeah, barely over a 3 total. It's hard to get excited about the Astros today. Maybe you feel otherwise. And even Houston, Colton Gordon's been okay. I'm not sure if he's going to be good going forward. We'll see. But, the righty power for Philadelphia is not spectacular either. You tell me, how do you feel about Philadelphia and the Astros?
Yeah, the Astros, that's actually a guy who I was guessing for Fleet Wednesday. I was thinking maybe someone on the Astros because of space in Houston. But
you're on the right track.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know at least. But for Houston, they're going to be bottom tier here. Not that, again, they've been really good as of late. They in terms of a team who has actually started trending in a better direction. They've made one of the biggest 360s over the past 30 days in terms of OPS and runs scored, but still not a team I'm interested in here against Zach Wheeler. And then Phillies, they're going to be in the LeBron James category. I know this might be an aggressive take here, but I like the Phillies quite a bit here. And it's not necessarily just because of their total upside. It's because of their price. I think that they have a lot of guys who are cheap enough to allow different salary relief options in this lineup. So they're going to be top tier for me because of how easy it is to get them in the lineups based on their price. So I like them quite a bit here against Gordon, who's struggled quite a bit so far against right-handed hitting.
You definitely put Schwarber in your stack, obviously. Historically, you prefer him against righties. But this season, I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in homers versus lefties. The last I checked, I'm pulling this up here on the fly. Yes, he does have he's got 12 home runs versus lefties this year. I don't think that's going to continue necessarily. Like, he certainly can smash lefties. We're not afraid of Colton Gordon. He's got a 412 ISO and a 465 WOBA. Right behind him, by the way, Raleigh with 11, Judge with 10, if you're curious. Those are the 3 hitters with double-digit homers versus lefties this year. And also Schwarber is just not going to be played, right? People just are not playing him this late. He's going to be lost.
Yep, 100%.
Let's go ahead and tell the people how we got to today's athletes. Number 1 is retired. That was the first clue. Second clue was Ocean. Ocean is in reference to the movie Ocean's 11. 11 being this player's jersey number. You said space, and space was a great call. You're talking about the Houston Astros. There are other teams based in Houston.
Oh, there are. Oh, I know it is.
Yeah. There's other teams based out of Houston. We're also talking about number 1 draft picks. Number 1 draft picks has been a focal point of the show. Dynasty. This is before my time. I'm old. This is before my time. There was a Ming Dynasty many, many years ago. And then 1 was the last clue because it was the number 1 pick overall. So Yao Ming. Remember Yao Ming?
Yeah, and we were messaging about him earlier because of number 1 overall pick. So I probably should have had that in the forefront of my mind. But someone in chat early, they said it'll be someone who wore number 11.
I did see that
in the YouTube chat. So shout out to whoever that was, because I looked up. I was like, "Is Craig Biggio number 11?" But, so
I don't think you. I don't remember.
He's number 7, but yeah.
2 more games to go. Crunch time coming in here momentarily. We did get San Francisco. No Wilmer Flores. If you're excited about playing Wilmer Flores today, I got bad news for you. He's not in the projected lineup. Yeah, I know. Start all over again. They got to get Dom Smith another at bat, I suppose. Dom Smith cracked the lineup. The Dodgers are in course. You heard about them. They have a 7 total. It's their standard lineup, with the exception of Will Smith. You got a backup catcher in Dalton Rushing, although he's a better hitter than most backup catchers, facing the prospect Chase Dollander. Again, 11 total in cores. It's not as hot as it has been the previous days. It's going to be in the 70s or so, but again, 7+ team total for LA, locked in for 9 versus Dollander and that rough bullpen. Yamamoto on the other side, a -350 favorite, big boy favorite. Where are we putting the Dodgers and the Rockies?
Yeah, no surprise. Dodgers going to be in the top tier for me today. Don't really need to elaborate there. They have like a 7.5 implied total here. And then for the Rockies, Yamamoto is a guy who I like quite a bit. I think he's awesome. Obviously, it's difficult pitching in Coors Field. I also think it's worth noting that for the pitches that he throws, that it's always something to think about for a guy who's coming into Coors, or maybe it doesn't have a ton of experience in Coors, but typically pitchers that rely on a lot of revolutions or RPMs on their pitches can sometimes struggle in Coors Field, and the splitter and the curveball are Yamamoto's secondary pitches, so that could potentially be some causes for concern. But I'm still going to put the Rockies in the Derrick Rose category again. Not a team that I like to stack a lot, but just because of the leverage idea there, as well as being in Coors Field, they do have a 4 projected team total here, so it's definitely not the worst in the slate. So we'll throw them in the Derrick Rose category.
Has that number moved somewhere? Because on the lineups page, not to get all technical, it's got 3.62. I don't know where you're seeing 4 at. Maybe this is wrong.
Looking at Plate IQ, the betting market implied total. So it's probably taking lines from different books across the market and averaging it out.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, last game. Probably one of the more least interesting games in the slate. You tell me otherwise. Every once in a while, it's a sneaky one that kind of comes out of nowhere. It's a kind of a baby slate. Not baby, but not complete. It's an 8-gamer. Edward Cabrera, East throwing baseballs tonight in the cavernous San Francisco. Logan Webb, Neil Rend, talking about team totals. The Marlins have less than a team total. They're facing Logan Webb in a bad ballpark and a bad lineup. Giants, Marlins. Is this game going like way under the radar outside of just some people are playing Webb?
From a hitting perspective, I don't think it's. I mean, I honestly, I would probably rather play Cabrera than the Giants from a value perspective and just like prioritization wise. Marlins are going to be bottom bucket for sure. Giants, I think, are good there in the Ben Simmons category, but I think you can make a case for the Giants, but I think you could also make a case for Cabrera. So I think it's just a spot where it's probably going to go overlooked, but I don't think it's like an alarming reason why it's going overlooked. I think it's not a great spot, both sides.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Let's go ahead, give the summary as far as the board. Crunch time's coming in here momentarily. If you're joining us late, we power ranked number 1 draft picks of the 21st century. Doesn't matter what century it is. LeBron is number 1, obviously. LeBron is being joined by the Mets, the Cubs, Philadelphia, and the Dodgers. Only one team in the second tier, the Anthony Davis tier. That's the New York Yankees. Tier number 3, we're penalizing Derrick Rose for getting injured and being like, we don't know how things would have really turned out. That's Atlanta, Minnesota, Seattle, Colorado. Ben Simmons is ahead of somebody. He's ahead of Anthony Bennett. We'll talk about him in a second. Tier number 4, Ben Simmons. It's Kansas City, the Rays, St. Louis, and the Giants. You could at least argue Anthony Bennett got out of the way. He's like, listen, I get it. I don't belong. I'm going to go away. And Simmons has kind of been annoying for many years. If you want to make that counter argument, I saw somebody in chat saying Simmons should have been in the 5 hole. Okay, I hear you. Bennett's like, you're right. I'm going to go back to Canada or whatever he's doing. I don't know.
I know Simmons is bad, but he cannot be in the 5. Like, there's at least 2 other guys that are worse than. Like, you could argue that Markel Fultz is worse than Ben Simmons. Yeah. I know Ben Simmons is annoying because it's like he did all that injury stuff and whatnot, but he's certainly not like a worse player than Markel Fultz or Anthony Bennett or Kwame Brown.
In the Anthony Bennett tier, the Marlins are home. In the 5 hole, Houston in the 5 spot taking on Zach Wheeler, and the Reds are in the 5 spot. Do you have some homers for me? I know we have Spidey Bombs scrolling. We should be creeping up 100 likes. Next threshold is 100. TJ will drop his next Spidey Bomb via Spidey himself. PCA Pete Cromar Armstrong is the first one scrolling right now. Maybe 3 different guys, 3 different tiers, that kind of thing. 1 up top, 1 in the middle, 1 down low. What do you have for me? Who's going yard?
Yeah, top of the board. I'm gonna go with Teoscar Hernandez, obviously going Coors Field, but he's not, one of the more. I would say he's one of the more contrarian Dodgers homers tonight. Obviously, people are gonna go to Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, but I like Teoscar to go yard, hits a curveball very well, which is Dollander's second favorite pitch against righties. Those are about 32% of the time, and Teoscar has crushed curves from righties in years past. For a mid-tier home run, I do like kind of the path that TJ was on there with some of these Cubs guys. I think that if one of these guys can elevate one against Fetty, got the chance to go yard. So mid-tier, I don't know. Is PCA is not really mid-tier, but he's going to be fairly contrarian. So I do like the PCA call, so I'll just piggyback off of that. But my low-tier home run call, Edmundo Sosa. How about that? Is that a low tier? Does that qualify? Surely.
I think it qualifies. Yeah,
yes,
for
so
sure.
I'm going Edmundo Sosa to go yard off Colton Gordon tonight.
Do you have him in the books as well? Did you hit that up in your local sports book?
I have not yet. I figured, if he goes yard for me in my DFS lineups, that'll be more than plenty of exposure there. But I'll check the numbers and I'll surely take a look at it.
Is there anything out there you have? I know you have some stuff posted, scores and odds, but anything you can think of off the top of your head? Any leans, any bets we have for tonight's slate? Or golf? You want to throw out a golf one for the people? I know you've been on fire for that.
Yeah, I'll throw. So I had 4 picks for the early games, went 3-1. So hopefully people out there tailed those ones. It's been a pretty good run so far. For tonight, I have Brady Singer over on strikeouts, and then I mentioned Rasmussen over on 3.5 strikeouts. For golf, starting tomorrow, tournaments is in my it's pretty much in my backyard, 30 minutes away in Detroit. So I'm going to go with Davis Thompson to win. That is 40-1, I believe. I don't know what the current numbers are, but when I took them Monday night, Tuesday morning, it was 40-1. So Davis Thompson.
You ever actually go to the tournament?
Yeah, I've been 3 times now. I went twice in 1 year, so I've been 2 out of the whatever 6 years that it's been here. So yeah.
I've never been to a golf tournament. Is it fun? Would you recommend it?
I mean, I feel like you kind of have to decide if you want to be someone who's like there for the golf or there for the event. Because like if you can go there, and the tickets usually aren't that expensive, and there's like a bunch of like you can kind of just pick a spot, hang out with some friends, have some drinks, and it's fun. Or you can go and try to follow golfer around. Like the year that Ricky Fowler won, and it was like a huge thing. We went on that Sunday, followed him. Was where we were right on 18 green for the playoffs, so that was awesome. So yeah, it definitely depends on your goals for it, but you can definitely make the most out of it. It's fun.
Now I see why the chat was talking about Kikuchi earlier. He had 11 strikeouts earlier in the day against Boston, breaking some slates. Pavetta struck out 10 against Washington. We don't care about those games. We care about the 8 tonight. Who's going to help us out with that? It's going to be cheaper than just Kevin Roth. It's going to be Chris Kirkwood, KirkDiese, leader of the Juggalos, and we also have Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. Let's talk to all of them right now. I think I just realized that Roth is not going to be here. It just took me a second because TJ mentioned, unless we could have 6 on the screen, but yeah, Roth, he's another vacation day for Roth. Thankfully, there's no weather out there lurking, as far as I can tell. I'm not sure if he's updated his article, but TJ, you're playing the role of Kevin Roth. Have you been on Kirkwood's dew point model? Have you been crossing all the T's and crossing all the I's? Are you ready to break down some weather for us?
No, why would I have to break down any weather when there's no weather to worry about?
I don't know, just in case. I don't know.
Yes, I will. Fluid. There is no weather to worry about. Done.
You better be careful.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
that's dangerous.
Be real careful.
I wouldn't say that. It's yellow in Minnesota. Strike yellow in Minnesota.
Yeah, so then there's a late start, and then we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but if it comes out of nowhere, then you're gonna get clipped for saying that, and then you'll have the.
No, Roth is never wrong. There's nothing worse than yellow. There is no weather to worry about.
Carty, Kirkwood, what does your dew point model say? Here's where you step up.
I say this to you 10 times already. I don't predict weather. I only have dew point, and it's hitting weather conditions. I don't know if it's gonna get delayed or whatnot. I can't. Storms aren't my thing, so I let Roth do that.
How the dew point model works. Yeah. How Roth's weather
report
works. He doesn't know who's coming on the show.
It's a very specific, thing that my model does, and it's
not very helpful. Doesn't sound like
get the F out of here.
That'll do it for GrindersLive. Thanks so much, Kyle. Dean actually did leave. I was going to put him back in, but he actually did just bounce out, so I guess I won't.
Perfect.
Thank you so much to Dean and Kyle for a great show, but it's time for the real experts to come in. Well, I shouldn't say that about Kyle. He is on an absolute heater on the betting streets right now. But anyways, jokes aside, 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz, MLB Crunch Time. First up, we got the man behind the dew point model himself, KirkDiese. How you doing, my friend?
Well, you have a bad back. I've had like a sickness. That's the weirdest thing ever. I've had like body aches of the flu with no nothing else. No cough, no sore throat, no anything, no stuffy nose, just aches in my body, and I have no clue what it is. But other than that, I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm on similar page. I'm better than yesterday, so I don't really want to complain. I know as soon as I get up from this chair, I'm gonna have about like a couple hours of being unable to move right, and I do have another podcast right after this, but we will take some more muscle relaxants and power on through. Joining us as well, we got Derek Carty, the creator, the curator of the Bat. I was going to say the Blitz because I just realized that wasn't Roth's intro for you. That was Alex Dunlap from our Blitz show's intro for you. How you doing, Carty?
I'm doing well. Wasn't originally scheduled to be on the slate today, but got the call to come pinch hit, so I'm here. I think the slate looks pretty fun. So yeah, I'm doing well.
If I'm not mistaken, we're actually 3 for 3 on pinch hitters for this show. I think it was originally a Roth, Neil, and Christie, and it turned into a TJ, Carty, and KirkDiese. But nothing wrong with that. Carty, I'll throw it to you first. What's your overview for this slate?
I feel like we have a ton of pitching on this slate. There's like 6 guys that are really good, and you probably don't have to look beyond them. We have a couple of offenses in great spots. We have, I don't know if the dew point model is able to show it or not, but we do have quite a few good weather spots for hitting. Maybe a bit more parity among stacks once you get past the top like 2 or 3 than I generally like to see. But I do think there are maybe some leverage opportunities. Definitely some ways to mix things up tonight.
A ton of pitching up top, exactly like you said. And so let's start with the pitcher's breakdown. But before we do, if you got any questions, throw them in the like button, throw them in the like button, throw them in the YouTube chat, throw them in the RotoGrinders live stream Discord, and then hit the like button. There we go. If you're watching us on YouTube, we got 2 Spidey Bombs already scrolling. PCA and Kyle Tucker, 2 Cubs, plus 500, plus 475. And then we will have another one as soon as we hit 150 likes. KirkDiese, I will throw it to you first. Who do you like today at pitcher?
Well, like Carty said, we have a lot of pitching. We also have like the really high end pitching and really high end offense, and you kind of it's tough to blend them together, and you got to kind of make your choice which ones to you. Although I'm going down at pitcher for one, and he's like someone I always play, and I'm just waiting, and it's Edward Cabrera. He's got nasty stuff. San Francisco lineup is a little better now, so I do feel like this could absolutely blow up in my face. But like, if he can just get his command under control, this kid has all the stuff. So I'm using him at 6,700, and I'm pairing him with either Yamamoto or Joe Ryan because they're cheaper. But I totally get that you can make you can take a lot of points with you and play Wheeler and Logan Webb. One or both of them together. So there's a lot of ways to go, but I'm trying to fit some more high-end bets in, and that's why I'm going down to Cabrera.
All right, Carty, how about you? What would be the cash pairing tonight for you? Is it possible to pay up and go double barrel, or do you got to find one of these cheaper guys as an SP2?
No, you can go double barrel pretty easily. Wheeler and Webb, I mentioned there's kind of like a tier of 6 guys up top. But within that, there's like an upper crust of 2 guys, and it's Wheeler and it's Webb. Wheeler because he's really, really good. Park upgrade, super long leash. Webb because he's facing Miami in some of the best pitching weather, the best pitching weather of the night. It's the only game under 60 degrees when there's quite a few over 80 or 90. So I think you don't overthink it. You just play those 2. There's enough value bats to make that happen. And then kind of the rest of that top tier is Joe Ryan, Yamamoto, Max Fried, and George Kirby. In tournaments, I think you play the ownership game, and whoever of those is going to fall through the cracks. It's looking like potentially Kirby and Fried. I think you definitely mix some of them in. I don't like the cheaper stuff as much. I mean, there are plenty of expensive bats on this slate that you want to take. So if you are going for someone, I don't mind the upside of Cabrera. I don't mind the upside of Clay Holmes. But beyond those top 6 and maybe those guys, I probably wouldn't mess with anybody else.
All right. That about does it for the pitcher position. We rifled through that pretty darn quickly. I have 50% each of Webb and Wheeler, and then about 20% of 7 other guys. That's kind of how I'm going, or 5 other guys, I guess, but 10 to 20% of all of those guys. But Wheeler and Webb are definitely going to be my top 2 today. I do have some double barrel lineups with both of those guys today. I think there are a few cheap stacks that make it able to make that type of construction work. And let's start talking about some of those stacks. We got the Yankees up top with the highest optimal rate, the Dodgers in Coors, but they are very tough to get to as they are very expensive. Carty, start us off with stacks. Who do you like to make?
So, like you said, Dodgers are in Coors. They're really expensive, but they're really good. They're clearly the top. It's tough to get too many Dodgers if you are going double barrel, especially the 2, 10K barrels. But I think the Yankees are not, everyone is far behind the Dodgers today, but the Yankees on any other slate, we'd be like, oh, the Yankees are so far above everybody else, because the Yankees are in a really good spot too. They're in Great American Ballpark, which most people won't think of it as a big park upgrade, but it is a big park upgrade from Yankee Stadium. It is some of the best hitting weather of the night, 90 degrees, a little bit of wind blowing out to left field. They're facing Brady Singer, who, 1, I don't think is better than like league average, and 2, has a really wide platoon split. So opposite-handed hitters from the Yankees are going to project really well from against Singer. And Yankees are just more affordably priced than the Dodgers tonight. I think the Yankees being on the slate is one of the things that makes it easy to go double barrel and feel okay not having a lot of or any Dodgers. Aside from them, I think your third stack is the Cubs. And then after that, it's kind of just like maybe, 5 or 10 that are all pretty much the same. You can mix and match if you want. Rays, Phillies, Rockies with some leverage against Yamamoto, I don't mind. I think the prices on the Royals are pretty good. A handful of other teams.
I'm full fading the Dodgers today as I prioritize the pitching spend-ups. I don't have a single Dodgers bats. Oh, that's a lie. Actually, I don't have a single Dodgers stack, but I do have some Dodgers bats. I am getting some Max Muncy. Dalton Rushing in that lineup is nice and cheap too. So I am getting some Dodgers bats, but no full stacks. KirkDiese, how about you? Who do you like for stacks today?
Yeah, I like the Dodgers. I like the Yankees. I like the Cubs. Cubs are actually the hardest to make work. So I'll probably be lower than them, but Dodgers and Yankees are my go-tos. I know Kyle on the show before made a spiel about how the Yankees have been terrible lately and striking out a ton, but they have so much power. Brady Singer has his like one good strikeout pitch is his slider, and it's been non-existent lately. And so I'm totally on board with the Yanks, and I think they have comparable upside to the Dodgers, just like Carty said. So those are and then from there, I'm just using fill-ins, from the other teams. But I could get behind a Phillies stack because it's cheaper, it's easy to make. But that's about it.
Cubs, my number 1 here by a fairly wide margin. Then getting to a lot of some Colorado, some Tampa. I like Seattle quite a bit as well. KirkDiese, take us to the catcher position. Who do you like there?
Oh boy. So I'm probably punting here, but the top play is probably Dalton Rushing, just because of salary and the being in Coors. JT Realmuto takes second. With against the lefty, and Colton Gordon has struggled a bit. Salvador Perez there's been a lot of signs of worry for him recently. Has been in a total funk, but 3,200. You're just looking for home runs. There's great hitting weather there. So I get that. My favorite, if I have to punt, is Pozo. Pozo on the Cardinals at 2,200 against Matt Boyd. I'm just either home run hunting or even anything. Kid has a pretty good bat, and batting 8th. I don't, it's just a punt. Other than that, you could always play Hunter Goodman. You could play Austin Wells for home run upside. Especially, he never gets played when he's down in the order, and he's. It's a great ballpark, Great American Ballpark, 4,300 home run upside. So those would be my guys.
Carty, how about you?
Similar. Rushing and Real Muto, I think, are the guys that make the most sense salary-wise. If you have to punt it, Pozo and I think Reese McGuire for the Cubs are the two you're looking at. I do really like obviously
I'm
I
trying
like
to play McGuire right now, and I got my bat projections up. I can't find him. He is not in the hide unprojected players. The only other catchers there are Ballesteros and Amaya.
Maybe refresh. Maybe he wasn't in the projected lineup and then he was in the actual one, because I see him in here.
Oh, well, there you go. I will refresh. I usually just go to the hide unprojected because they pop in there quick, and you can just give them a projection and they go up, but he wasn't there either.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, projection is 5.8 for DraftKings if you're looking. But yeah, I think the higher end guys are interesting as ways to make your lineup different, because I do think you're going to see a lot of ownership on Real Muto, on Rushing, on maybe Salvador Perez. But Cal Raleigh, even at 6.5K, and against Joe Ryan, like, I don't think people are really going to play him, but man, is this guy good. You get some leverage off of Ryan, who will have some ownership. You make your lineup construction very different. And then Hunter Goodman to a lesser extent against Yamamoto, I think is kind of the same type of thing.
All right, bring us to first base.
If you can get up to Dodgers, great. Personally, I don't have 7.4K for Shohei Ohtani. Don't really have 6.2 for Freeman either, but that's okay because we have lots of other really good guys here. Like, man, I wish I could spend on Ohtani, but if you're going double barrel pitcher, like, I don't see how you do it. Ben Rice for the Yankees, though, is really good. Hitting third. This park is so good. The matchup is so good. I mentioned the platoon thing with Singer. Ben Rice is the guy I like the most. You can save a few hundred on Yandy Diaz as well. KC is one of the other really good weather spots. Actually probably the best weather spot of the day. 90 degrees, double-digit winds blowing out to left. So I like Yandy quite a bit as well. And then after that, guys in your stacks, you can take shots, home run hunt with Alonso, Contreras, Bush, Olsen, whoever.
All right, KirkDiese, how about you? Who do you like at first?
I'll add home run hunting Aranda to that list too. But it's Shohei. If you have, I'm not paying $7,400 for Shohei now. Look at this. Ben Rice is probably the clear-cut play from salary. Then there's what's wrong with Freddie Freeman lately? He's been having a tough go of it this season, but wow, I just pulled up his game log, even just as a game log watcher. Like, it's been horrific. I know Mookie struggles, but no, people haven't talked about Freddie Freeman's struggles as much. Anybody, all the plays that Carty said, obviously the really good hitting weather out for the Kansas City game. So, Vinny Pasquantino, Jonathan Aranda are both in that game. So like them. And then, like Carty said, Matt Olson, just anybody with home run upside here, even Yandy Diaz.
All right, take the second base.
Second base it's kind of gross. It's very gross tonight. So I think the right play from like a cash game perspective, and I'd be fine just doing a one-off in tournaments too as well, is Jonathan India, just because he's cheap, has upside. He's kind of stunk this year too as well, but he's cheap. Tommy Edman at 4,700 batting seventh, has good power. You like him better against lefties, but definitely could have a good game in cores. Someone who could take advantage of the higher amount of doubles and triples in Coors Field. So I like him. Brandon Lau. I like Cody Clemens as just a total punt against, because Kirby has looked pretty bad so far as in his comeback, and maybe he blows up again a little bit. So Cody Clemens is the punt for me. That's it. It's kind of a gross position.
That's it. You mentioned like 10 second basemen. Come on. This is the worst position known to. No, good for you. I don't know how you managed to do that.
My favorites are those last, like that last spot you went, Cody Clemens. I'm getting to Clemens and Castro, the two twins, as my highest owned guys here by a fairly wide margin.
Yeah. Yep. I like Edmund if you have the money. I like Brandon Lau quite a bit. I don't mind that India's been bad this year. I think the matchup is good. The weather's good. The price is certainly right at a weak position. I like Matt McLean as a one-off with some leverage against Fried, and that's maybe it. If you're going to punt it, I do think Cole Young for 2,200 or Thomas Sagisi, however you pronounce his name for the Cardinals.
Sajazi.
Oh, is he Italian?
I'm just saying that because I went to college with a Sonny Sajazi, and I love that name. So
all right. Well, that's probably it then. Yeah, but Cole Young, if you just want to punt the position because it's terrible, I'm totally fine with that. There's a little bit of pinch hit risk, but Minnesota probably only has one lefty that poses a threat tonight.
You know, it's okay that second base is trash, I think, because I loved second base for our little 4-game early slate. I loved it so much. This is not a lie. This is a real story. It's not exciting, but I don't know why I prefaced it that way. Anyways, I love second base so much. I built a lineup on FanDuel, which I never play. I deposited and I built a lineup on FanDuel because I never play FanDuel, but I like second base so much. I wanted to play 2 of them. They are combined 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts so far.
Who were they?
It was Ketel Marte who went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, and the young guy Moore for LA because he was for the Angels because he was batting second. And so I wanted to jam both of those guys in, and they do not have a hit between them yet. But Carty, take us to third.
All right. Third base is kind of like second base, where I don't really like a whole lot. You have Muncy and Coors, who I do think at 5K is reasonable enough at kind of a weak position where you can get up there. Jazz in the Yankees lineup, I also like quite a bit, and he'll probably be like half the ownership of Muncy at nearly the same price and nearly the same projection. So in tournaments, I like Jazz, cash, maybe Muncy. I'm fine going down and saving some money, though. Alec Boehm at 3.9 looks good. Christian Encarnacio Strand on the other side of the game from the Yankees looks good. Ronnie Mauricio looks fine. That's kind of the way I'm looking at third. Like, go all the way up or go most of the way all the way down.
KirkDiese, how about you?
Muncy, Caminero, Chisholm. Those are the top right tier. Right below that, for salary reasons, would be Alec Boehm. With the platoon batting third, that's nice. And then if you need the punt, like Carty said, it would be Mauricio, maybe Sosa. But yeah, I mean, you can always play, Holmes, has never had the work. Like I think Holmes is going to start being hit. He's never had he's always been a reliever. He's never had the arm to go through a full Major League Baseball season as a starter. I think he's starting to show signs of diminishing. So I wouldn't fault you for playing Austin Riley in this spot, 4,500 batting cleanup.
My favorite's actually Ryan McMahon. Really like him in this spot. He's been smashing the ball in the last month after starting absolutely terribly, and it's a tough matchup, but he's only 4K. He's in Coors. Nobody's really getting there. And then I do like Matt Shaw as well, just to make some, not on his own, but to make my Cub stacks work because he's so nice and cheap. KirkDiese, take us to shortstop.
Alrighty, short. We've got, depending on your barrel, if you're into barrel rates and whatnot, Mookie Betts would be a fade, but at 5,700, he's still Mookie Betts. He's in Coors. You can kind of fit him. So I like that. Bobby Witt, gets the good hitting weather. Rasmussen's pretty good pitcher overall, but, not an elite ace on the here. So, he could definitely come through. Thomas Sajazi, my boy, 2,700. Fine, sure. Mason Wynn. But it's pretty much any of those guys or Anthony Volpe, 4K. He's a fine play.
Carty, how about you? Who you playing at short?
Yeah, the bat actually has whip projected slightly higher than Mookie, which I think is interesting because it's another situation where the Dodger will be higher owned, but Witt is 200 cheaper and projects the same or better. Even though Rasmussen is, I think, a pretty good pitcher too, this is a really good stolen base spot. Like, he's easy to steal on. Danny Jansen is easy to steal on. The bullpen as a whole, the combination of their relievers today is easy to steal on. And so I really like Witt today. I like Dansby Swanson if you need to save a little bit. I like Mason Wynn if you need to save a little bit more. And yeah, that's about it.
I did just drop Spidey Bomb number 3, scrolling at the bottom to go along with P. Crow Armstrong and Kyle Tucker. We have Nick Castellanos at plus 480 to hit a home run today. 3 Spidey Bombs, got a 4th one coming if we get up to 200 likes, so keep hitting that like button. Also, don't forget to get your questions in. If you have any, throw them into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. Throw them into the YouTube chat, and we will hit them as soon as we're done going position by position. Carty, take us to the outfield. Or wait, KirkDiese, did you do short yet? Yeah, you said. I remember.
Yeah,
you did. Yeah.
And I forgot. I'm playing some Carlos Correa too. But you want Carty to the outfield, right? Yeah.
Yep. Ohtani again, if you have the money, is great. I probably don't have the money. The Cubs guys are more expensive than they really should be here in the outfield. Like Tucker and PCA are like the same price basically as Aaron Judge, as some of the lesser Dodgers guys, Teoscar, as Juan Soto for the Mets, and I don't really think they're much better. So for me, even though I like Cubs like as a stack, I think they're good. I think in the outfield, I'm focusing more on Dodgers and in particular Yankees. Judge is really expensive, hard to get up to him, but Trent Grisham I absolutely love. He might be the best play on the slate. Stanton, even though he's a righty, I think is still really good. Dominguez in the same lineup, I think is awesome. If you are doing Cubs,
I don't think this ownership is going to end up being spot on with Grisham and Dominguez. Like we see like 24% for Grisham and like 9% for Dominguez.
Oh, or maybe.
I would bet Grisham is like twice as high as Dominguez is.
Yeah, I think Dominguez is going to go. I think Stanton's because he's being in everybody's optimal is Stanton.
Mm-hmm. I bet over 20% for Stanton and Grisham, and then less than 10% for Dominguez.
All right,
that's a guess though. Projections people are better at that than I am.
Yeah. Either way, I like them both.
KirkDiese, outfield. How about you?
And it's the same. If you have the money for Shohei, sure. I'm playing Dominguez over Stanton in my Yankee stack. That's just a way to get a little bit lower ownership. I like Trent Grisham. Obviously, I like Judge. I've got Judge in my lineup. Other than that, you can the Dodgers. I'm focusing on too. Andy Pages, Conforto are playable and cheaper. Tommy Edman is outfield eligible. Also, Teoscar Hernandez will be one of the lower owned guys for the Dodgers, and obviously has multi-homer upside at Coors. And then you can go to you want a home run hunt for cheap, you can go to a Christopher Morel. Let's see who else? Trevor Larnach. I like, but all of those guys. And then I'm not playing the Cubs, but I like them. They're just too hard to get a lineup that I like on. Get them all. I know they're your highest owned though, TJ. So how are you fitting them all in? They're overpriced for it. They're priced like they're at Coors almost.
I mean, yes and no. PCA is 1,300 less tthan Ohtani, and he's 1,500 less. Or sorry, 500 less than Acuna, 800 less than Judge. So it's he's quite a bit 600 less than Judge. Quite a bit easier to fit in, and then especially with a $2,400 catcher.
Yeah, that makes it better now that they have Reese in the lineup.
Yeah, I do have 10% Nico Horner, which I do not like, 15% Matt Shaw, which I do like. So I'm including some of those guys in the stacks, but PCA actually is my outfielder ownership goes PCA 1, Castellanos 2, Grisham 3, Tucker 4, Happ 5. So 3 of my 5 actually are the Cubs outfielders too.
Cool.
All right. I guess that'll do it for position by position. What are we thinking for some home run calls today, my friends? We got 3 Spidey Bums already scrolling. Carty, who do we think the bat is? Who does the bat think is hitting a home run tonight?
Yankees. It likes the Yankees. It likes Ohtani. They are going to be your top guys here. Judge's home run projection is insane. He's projected for almost half of a home run tonight. Stanton's is really good. Ohtani's is really good, but so is Grisham. So is Ben Rice. Like I think, Jazz, almost the whole Yankees lineup, I think looks really good tonight for a home run. In terms of something a little more under the radar, there's not a lot that I'm in love with. Christopher Morel, I think is interesting. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
All right, KirkDiese, how about you? Who's hitting the homer?
I am going to say, these Phillies, hit some bombs. So I like Kyle Schwarber, even in the lefty-lefty matchup. So I like him. And then I'm going to say for an off-the-wall one, our boy Clemens is going to go yard off Kirby.
I like it. I like the Clemens call quite a bit. I'll drop one more if we get up to 200 likes, so keep hitting that like button. We got enough people that it shouldn't be too hard, so keep smashing that like button, and now we will take some QQs. But before we do, it is the perfect time to tell you that the MLB annual option is only $425 here at RotoGrinders. However, we dropped the price of our Combo Pro product to mirror the MLB annual package, so you might as well get more stuff for the same price, especially if you're looking at our Combo Pro 6-month package, which gives you access to our content, tools, and projections for every sport except NASCAR at a cheaper price than the monthly package. You'd actually save about 35% by getting the 6-month instead of monthly. So it's the perfect time to sign up for that, so you get some NFL for a nice low price as well. You can also check out our Props and Pick'em package for a discount. Props and Pick'em package features daily prop picks and fantasy pick'em selections from many of your favorite RotoGrinders experts. We're also knocking 50% off the price of your first month when you sign up at the link down below. All right, that'll do it. Let's hit some QQs. I'll go to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat first. Get your questions in there. I'll go to the YouTube chat second. And then, honestly, if I'm being totally honest, 7:10 starts and we're 25 minutes to lock. We probably do get out of here a little bit early today. The shows go by a little bit quicker when we don't have Kevin Roth doing the weather report, and my back is killing me, so I got to get out of this chair. But I actually did want to take a YouTube question first because I had answered it, but I could be wrong. I could be way off about this. Maybe that's just like my hunches about ownership today. Maybe I do not have a good grasp of what the field's doing, but Carty, Brian C asks, what are your thoughts on a Dodger stack without Ohtani to get different? I was thinking that a Dodger stack without Ohtani might actually be the most common Dodger stack today because of that price tag. You almost can't play Ohtani in a
It's
Dodger
an
stack.
NBA price tag. It's crazy.
It's really hard to get Ohtani. I certainly don't think Ohtani is going to be chalk or he's going to be in all or even most Dodger stacks. Yeah, I could be wrong too, but that's my read on it. There's a lot on this slate to want to pay for, especially on the pitching side, and Ohtani is really expensive.
Yeah, right now in the RotoGrinders projections, Ohtani's projecting for about 15% ownership, and the bats it's about 20%. And I honestly think that maybe less than 10% of that will be in a Dodger stack. Most of those Ohtani teams are going to be in one-offs with a really cheap stack or a Dodgers mini stack. All right, let's see here. What else do we got for questions? Come on, everybody, get your questions in, or we're going to have to get out of here real early. Butthole Jenkins wants to know Carty's BVP play of the night.
Yes, we're all waiting for this.
Every night, your mom.
Oh!
That's
Bring
my
the
answer.
heat to Butthole. What a name.
From Derek Ringer and
Butthole knows that I don't do BVP. Everyone should know that I don't do BVP. BVP is dumb. BVP is stupid. BVP is terrible. BVP decreases your accuracy. I don't know how many other ways I can say it, but BVP is just bad. Don't use BVP. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
KirkDiese, does anybody have an ugly? We're hitting the hard hitting questions today. Carty's BVP play and now KirkDiese. Does anyone have a worse or uglier swing? Not worse, uglier swing than Giancarlo Stanton?
I mean, right now it looks pretty rough. Yeah, I don't know. Who else has bad looking swings?
Yeah, I have no idea.
There's only ones I remember are like the good looking, like.
Let me get you a better question today, KirkDiese. What do you think of Cabrera and Colton Gordon today as a pairing to let you get all the bats on DraftKings?
I don't like Colton Gordon. I do like Cabrera. There is massive risk. There's risk on him not having command with massive walks. There's risk just the Giants lineup is just kind of better now with Devers. There's also risk that they've limited his pitch count in some of these last games. So I'm playing him, but there's a lot of risk. But I don't like Gordon. I'm trying to think if there was another cheap pitcher I would pair with him. There's nothing else.
Oh, that comment in the YouTube chat is so good. BVP rules. I doubt this gum bean knows dip squat. I don't know what a gum bean is, and I don't know what dip squat is, but that was a hilarious comment. Carty, Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts. Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, or Aaron Judge and Brandon Lau.
Freeman and Betts, but it's close. There's not a right answer to that.
All right. What else do we have here? KirkDiese on FanDuel GPP, Rasmussen and Reese McGuire, or Cabrera and Swanson? Is it Cub stack?
Cabrera and Swanson.
What would be your cheapest FanDuel GPP pitcher you'd go with tonight for upside? Don't worry about the risk, Carty, just for potential upside.
I think it would probably be George Kirby. I don't think I'd go any cheaper than him.
What do you think about playing Ohtani today in tournaments and just stacking back half cheap stacks, KirkDiese?
Yeah, I mean that's not a terrible way to do it. You're putting faith in a low owned crappy stack, but it works sometimes.
All right, Carty, if you were playing Wheeler and Webb together on DK Cash, who would be your cheap second baseman you'd go with?
What's his name? The Seattle guy, Cole Young.
Yeah, real cheap. I don't mind doing that either. TJ, who hits the double Spidey bomb? It's PCA. His first two at bats are going to be out of the park. If PCA does not hit a home run today, I will give tomorrow. I'm on GrindersLive with Dean. I will give Spidey bombs every 25 likes instead of 50 if PCA doesn't hit today. I am very confident that my guy is hitting one out. Dean wants to know, Kirkwood, have you played the new DK lottery yet? Because you can literally get Powerball tickets on DraftKings now.
No, I got mad. I got mad. That's the most predatory thing. I like it. Like, there's one thing for like daily fantasy sports and like sports betting, but like to sell lottery too now, I just thought it's like a new low for DK.
Carty, Dean also, he has one question for KirkDiese, one question for you. He wants your opinion on, you don't like Chop's BVP play of the day. How do you feel about the knockers?
I said, I'm fine with knockers as long as they're not fake BVP knockers.
Oh,
Carty's a fan of the big naturals. None of that fake stuff. Max Fried or Logan Webb, KirkDiese?
Logan Webb. Do you know? The knockers is an all-time bit, right? Like that's a great bit, right? You know who came up with that?
Is that
yours
you?
Truly. Yours truly.
Oh.
I was like choppers, knockers in our thing. I was like, you got to go with that. He's like, I can do that. Because it was around the time when you had Spidey bombs when it came to fruition. Yep. We were like, we need something here.
KirkDiese, what do you think about the Cardinals as a stack tonight?
lukewarm. But I wanted to say I just Googled gumbean, and apparently it's an Irish English word often referring to a shady or dishonest individual, particularly one involved in usury and exploitive business practices.
Now I'm offended.
Yeah, gumbean was funny before. Now it's rude. Oh, DK, GPP, Carty, Cabrera, and Pajes, or Kirby and Conforto?
I think Kirby and Conforto for me.
All right. Let's see. Jazz or Stanton in my FanDuel Yankees stack, KirkDiese.
Jazz.
Yeah, I like Jazz there a lot as well. Carty, favorite pitcher for a FanDuel single entry?
It might be like Max Fried, just because. Any of the six are good. I think Fried's ownership is going to be low enough, and the upside's high enough where he's a guy I'd have a good amount of interest in.
All right. Butho Jenkins asking more triggering questions for Carty that I guess we can leave by the wayside.
Of course, we're going to read them. All right.
The problem is there aren't any more real questions. We've hit all the real questions, and it's and Butho Jenkins says, like, do you feel some certain hitters are better versus certain pitchers of right or left hand, potentially in like an ability to match that hand?
Sure. I think, yes, certainly there's an effect there. It is not captured whatsoever by BVP numbers.
All right. KirkDiese, what do you think about Didier with a Brave stack?
Yeah, I think Didier could work for sure. But there's a lot of risk there too.
Carty, Ramos, or Castellanos?
Maybe Castellanos.
KirkDiese, wait, it's me, or hey, it's me, Kevin, needs a refresher of your home run picks.
Schwarber and Clemens, but take with that a grain of salt that, I'm trying to find more out there plays than the obvious, like Shohei, Judge, or Grisham, or so be careful. But those are my two. I think both of them go yard tonight. And one, I'm just trying to manifest Clemens because of my lineups. But
Pozo or McGuire, last piece in DK Cash, Carty.
Like I said earlier, it's a toss up. Give me McGuire, I guess, but there's not a right answer.
Highest scoring pitcher tonight, it's going to be Logan Webb. DK large field tournament. Does Carty or KirkDiese like the Rocky stack tonight? What do you guys think of Rocky stacks?
I think they're a little expensive. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, take it away.
I think they're a little expensive. I do like that you get some leverage off of Yamamoto with it. Obviously, it's cores and the spot's good, but you're not really getting them cheap.
And I'll just say you can always play a Rocky stack in cores.
Yeah.
All the pitching in one little slate when these 12 gamers have had none. That is a great point from Mark D. Jorge wants to know Correa and Dominguez or Caglione and Mason Wynn for DK Cash, Carty. I feel like the answer is neither.
Who was the first one with Dominguez?
Correa.
It really is neither. Dominguez and Wynn are the two that I think are viable for cash. I don't know how that works salary-wise, but I don't really think Correa or Caglione are cash plays.
See if you can get up to like instead of Correa, see if you can get up to like JP Crawford even.
I have both Correa and Dominguez in my single entry stuff.
Not cash plays though.
Yeah, correct.
Nate Allen for a cheap shortstop one-off. Going Yankees and Rockies. What do you think of Nate Allen, KirkDiese? Isn't it Nick Allen?
Yeah. It's just a complete and total punt.
I have 80% Fuentes. Should I call it a night? Yeah, don't look at your phone, expect to lose, and hope like hell that he goes off, and maybe you got yourself a nice little app check later. DK single entry can't decide between Yamamoto or Webb in a DK single entry. I would go with Webb there. I think he's in a lot nicer spot than Yamamoto. Carty, FanDuel utility 2,200 or less.
What are you doing on FanDuel that you need 2,200 or less? Let me run through projections real quick, and I'll find whoever that is.
In the meantime, KirkDiese, Solano or Morel? Last piece on FanDuel.
Morel.
All right. Some of those 2,200.
Wow, Chad is really saying all that Gumbean Carty is going to stick. I think after the show, that's what.
All right,
crazy.
That's not nice at all. Chandler Simpson for 2,100, I guess, would be your guy. Hope he steals 3 bases.
Carty, what do you think of the Royals and the Rays as stacks today? And if so, who would be your favorite player on each team? Probably Bobby Witt and Brandon Lau, right?
Yeah, I like both of those teams a good amount today. The weather is nice. Witt, like I said, projects actually better than Mookie. Lau projects well at second. Yandy projects well at first. There's there's a number of good guys from both of those teams.
KirkDiese favorite pitcher for FanDuel GPP not named Logan Webb.
Crazy as it sounds, I mean, I think getting up to Wheeler is the best, but for like a more out there play, it would be Cabrera.
A lot of Carty questions today, especially in the Discord. Carty, what is the more optimal play if me and the boys are looking to get wasted this weekend? Fireball or Jägermeister? What is the bat like better?
There's not a wrong answer to that one. Fireball was kind of like the shot of choice back in like my college days, so that will tell you about my age. So I have a little bit of a soft spot for Fireball, but Jägermeister's great. You can take shots of cheap tequila so it burns a little bit. That's always nice. You have options. And you don't have to stick to just one. You probably shouldn't be sticking to just one.
I hate Jaeger more than anything.
I like Jaeger.
I feel like Fireball was my college years too. Fireball was a big part of us.
So here's the thing. Data has shown over the years that a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner don't work as well because the cleaning agent in the shampoo counteracts the moisturizing agent in the conditioner. Carty, what is the bat's thought on 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner?
That just malfunctioned at the mere prospect of 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Like, absolutely.
You don't get hair like Carty by doing a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner.
No, not everyone has to get custom shampoo and conditioner like I do, but please at least get separate shampoo and conditioner.
Dean wants to know the name of your liquor projection system. I got to imagine it's the bottle.
I think that's got to be it, right?
Yeah.
Bottle, the booze, the bottle.
DK single entry. You got a real question now, KirkDiese. Wells or Volpe?
I like Wells better.
Carty, Lau and Sagezi, or Beatty and Shaw?
The first one, but I'm not going to try to pronounce his name again.
Sagezi.
The people are saying the Blitzed.
You just added an ED.
That's pretty good.
Negative Creep says the gum bean.
The gum bean.
It doesn't even start with a B, Negative Creep. Come on.
The bean gum.
I gotta get this in my
Beaner 1290 in the Discord says, do you guys like the Cubs tonight? They are my favorite stack. Ownership considered, how would you rank the Cubs among your stacks, Carty?
They'd be probably top 5 for me, but I don't love the prices on the top guys. But there are other pieces in that lineup that can make it work. So I do kind of like the Cubs. And they project well.
what do you think of Rasmussen for a DK large field tournament?
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think he has really good stuff. I think the only problem, he hasn't been getting the strikeouts lately, but that could come at any point in time. So it's really good hitting weather there, which is a concern. But the Royals can put up duds with the best of them.
Discord wants to know, KirkDiese, as the leader and the president and CEO of Jug Nation, have you ever given your power rankings for Fago Soda?
No, I'm going to work on that though and get that out soon. Because
stay tuned. More likes we get, the quicker that it comes out. Singer
TJ,
or
I have a question for TJ. Is Clayface going to be in the new Batman? Someone was asking about it in chat.
So, rumored that Clayface will be a villain for the Batman Part 2, but probably not, because they're actually making an entire Clayface movie in the DCU. So, like, not in Robert Pattinson's Batman universe, but like they're going to be making a whole Clayface movie written by Mike Flanagan.
Well, that'll be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that then. All
right. Singer or Cabrera for your favorite cheap pitcher, Carty?
Oh my God. Cabrera, definitely not Singer.
Question for Gumbean, Gordon or Fuentes?
No, you don't get an answer.
KirkDiese, what two teams would you be stacking in a single entry?
Well, pricing wise, you could. So I like the Yankees, and you could, if you're doing a double stack, you could do like KC, something that would fit pretty. That should work.
Carty, what do you think of the Reds righties going up against Max Fried? Not a pitcher you want to target, but a pretty darn good ballpark and pretty darn good weather.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think I'd do like a full stack, but if you pick and choose a couple of Reds righties, I think you're okay, especially at like the weaker positions, like a McLean or a Encarnacion Strand or something like that.
Butthole says, Carty, his mom says hello. That is very kind of her. I've always thought Butthole is a very kind mother. Alan S., Kirby or Boyd as your SP2 on DraftKings, KirkDiese?
I would go with Boyd. I just don't trust Kirby right now, but I think Kirby is the better actual pitcher, though.
Another question from Dean KirkDiese, giving you a hard time today. He wants to know what will come out quicker, the Fago power rankings, or will the dew point model come out of beta?
I was trying to see if he has a wrench, if I could ban him for 2 days, but it doesn't allow me. That stinks. I don't even read. I'm not going to answer whatever Dean asks. Just talk about a real gum bean in real life. I mean, once he tried to sell me on Top Shots and had me put all my money on Top Shots during COVID. Like, I mean, there is no bigger gum bean. There is no bigger gum bean than Dean Shavelson.
Some would even call him a gum dean, if you will. Wow. I think that'll do it for the show today. We got a lot of silliness. We've had a lot of fun. We're about 5 minutes to walk, but we have run out of questions. Carty, just really quick, give me your top three pitchers, top three stacks.
Webb and Wheeler, they're the top three. Stacks, Dodgers, Yankees are great.
And Wheeler.
Yeah. Webb and Wheeler and one of them again. Or any of the other, four guys that are. I don't want to do top three. There's two, and then there's four more.
Fair. Wheeler and Webb, those are the guys. Who are your top stacks?
Dodgers, Yankees. After that, you can make a case for 10 teams. Cubs, maybe 3.
KirkDiese, you're trying to get different. You're trying to get weird. You're avoiding the chalk. Who would be your one pitcher and one stack?
Well, I think Cabrera, I've made it pretty clear, is my guy for that. And one stack, a little bit different. Well, let's take a stroll down ownership lane. I think we'd have to go with. God, I don't like it. I like the chalky stacks, but I think the Royals or Tampa for like the lower owned stuff.
That'll do it. Thank you so much.
Hitting weather.
Yeah, exactly. That'll do it. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Good luck in all your contests. On behalf of myself, Carty, and Kirkwood, we will see you next time early tomorrow for the early slates. Be myself and Dean for Grinders Live, and the Crunch Time crew coming in after 11 a.m. Eastern time start for that one. So make sure you don't miss it. We will see you next time. Peace.